I cannot find any of my Kendrick Lamar albums. Hey, I'm Ray Halbritton, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Damn by Kendrick Lamar. I got Little Richard here with me. I tried to get his older brother Big Richard, but he was all tied up not existing. So, I got what I could. Kendrick Lamar. I'm sure we've all heard of him, especially since I've said his name twice in this video so far. He's the biggest rapper around right now. I'm going to go ahead and say that. 2015, he released To Pimp a Butterfly, which I think can officially be called hip-hop's London Calling, but I'm not here to talk about that one. I could talk about To Pimp a Butterfly all day. Before that, Good Kid, Mad City, which was one of the most conceptually adventurous hip-hop albums of the decade. So, he got two masterpieces under his belt, basically. So what do you do when you're one of the biggest rappers in the game right now? Everybody's talking about you. Everybody's looking forward to see what you're going to do next. You just released one of the most acclaimed hip-hop albums of the past 10 years. What do? How do you follow it up? Kendrick goes, fuck it. Let's strip it back. Go back to the basics. Instrumentally, this album has almost none of the funk or wild live instrumentation that made To Pimp a Butterfly so distinctive. It's got almost a trap influence in a lot of songs. Like, it's not overtly trap, but there's definitely a trap influence in a lot of these tracks, you know? But it's solid production still. Like, I'm not going to take anything away from it. I mean, trap, you know, trap can be good like any genre if it's done well. Lyrically, though. Lyrically is always where Kendrick has shown. I'm going to go shown. It's always been where Kendrick has shown, and this time's no different. He explores a ton of themes on this album, and it's his shortest album so far, but I feel like he covers more ground on this record than he has on any of his previous ones. Like, it's 20 minutes shorter than To Pimp a Butterfly, which is almost 80 minutes long, but it feels like there's a lot more there to me, to be honest. Like, I like To Pimp a Butterfly. When I said I could talk about it all day, I didn't just mean praise it all day. There's a lot of problems I have with that album. Specifically, is that it was so ambitious and so politically scathing that I felt like it lost a lot of the personality that Kendrick's earlier stuff had. Like, Good Kid, Mad City had been about his childhood growing up in Compton, and it had drawn you in emotionally, because it was an emotionally charged album about growing up in a rough neighborhood. To Pimp a Butterfly was so focused on, you know, the dense instrumentals and crazy genre switching that it lost a lot of that personality to me. I mean, it was still a great album, don't get me wrong, but it lost a lot of what had made Kendrick's earlier music so interesting to listen to. Damn brings it back. I'm going to talk about the last track on here first, because I've got a theory about the first track that I'll save for later. Duckworth. One of Kendrick's best story songs to me. It talks about a guy named Anthony moves to a neighborhood, and he's going to rob this chicken place. I think it's a KFC, so not the best chicken place, but, you know. He's gonna rob this chicken place. Oh shit, my battery's down. But the guy behind the counter who works there makes friends with him and eventually convinces Anthony not to rob the place. Like, 10 or 20 years later, they grow up to be Top Dog. Anthony is Top Dog, and Doug is Kendrick Lamar's dad. And so it basically talks about how your choices go on to influence the future, and how every choice can have a drastic change or influence on what's going to happen later in your life. So it really powerful message hidden in this like pretty much simple story that he's telling. But as for Blood, it's really an intro. It's not like really a standalone track, but it establishes what I think is the main theme of this album, like the main underlying theme. So Kendrick's talking about how he's taking a walk one day, and he sees a blind woman who seems to be looking for something. She seems like she's lost something, and she's looking for it. She can't find it because she's blind, naturally. So he goes up to her. He's like, can I help you find something now? Can I help you find what you're looking for? And the lady shoots him and kills him. Now, Kendrick didn't just add this in there for nothing. You know, it's not just some random shit he put in there. There's significance to this story opening the album. And what I think it is that the blind woman represents the general hip-hop listening audience community thing. And Kendrick, or what they're looking for is something new, something fresh. Like a new, fresh voice. Kendrick goes up to try to help them find it. through himself, and they turn on him and shoot him. Figuratively. They turn on him, basically. So, I feel like Kendrick has a lot of resentment for the general hip-hop community. I don't know why he would, because most people I know, like, respect the hell out of Kendrick Lamar, rightfully. But, also, it could be resentment for the country, that some of them try to paint him as a villain, you know, because of the more controversial stuff he's done with Black Lives Matter and everything. So, I feel like there's some of both in there. Like, some of the lyrics on some of these songs are so clearly meant for audiences. Elements talking about hypocrisy in hip-hop audiences. Like, he says, in 2015, I tried to elevate a black artist, but there's a difference between a black artist and a whack artist. So I feel like some people thought To Pimp a Butterfly was too adventurous, that it got too far away from the roots of hip-hop, and so he's saying, I tried to do something new and creative, and you turned on me and called me whack. That's what I think, anyway. But it's not just spite, though. It's not just spite for, you know, audiences. There's also spite for rappers on Humble. Everybody's talked about Humble, though. You know about Humble. He's clearly talking shit on other rappers. But then, a lot of the middle tracks here, Pride, Humble, Lust, Love, feel like they're parodying other rappers to a degree. Like, they're the ones with the strongest trap influences, and they talk about cliches that a lot of modern rappers talk about, but in a really sardonic, sarcastic way, you know? So it's almost like he's satirizing the cliches that modern hip-hop uses. So he takes shots at, you know, government, hip-hop audiences, other rappers, not in, like, aggressive ways, though, but in very intelligent ways. But then also, like I said, with Duckworth, he explores these really philosophical themes. Also, God, he explores deeper themes, but it's not one of the better tracks, so I don't really want to talk about that one. Fear is a little disturbing, but it's a good track. And then Triple X, which features U2. I would not have known U2 was on this track if it didn't say it. Like, thank God, too. I hate U2. Like, their presence is barely felt. I think Bono provides some vocals, like, between verses or something. Which, you know, Bono's not a terrible singer, so as long as that's all that U2 has to do, then I guess I'll let them pass. Rihanna. So speaking of features, Rihanna does really good. I didn't know she could rap. I don't listen to a lot of Rihanna. I'm not going to lie to you. But she actually raps right up along with Kendrick Lamar on here. I was impressed. She's probably the best featured. Zakari, I think she sings on the track she's in. If it's a she, I don't know who Zakari is. I'm not even going to lie to you. I don't know who that is. But if it's the person that sings on that track, she does good too. Or he. Because it's good vocals on that track. Anyway. So yeah, Kendrick, for making his shortest, most straightforward album yet, he packs more personality than he has in a long time. More of his own personality. Covers a lot more ground in what I think is much more interesting ways than he did on To Pimp a Butterfly and almost on Good Kid, Mad City. And I think the stripped back nature is what really makes me like this album a lot more, because it's much more easy to get into than his last two albums. But there's so much going on under the surface that you could spend hours or like dozens of listens just picking it apart and seeing what all it has to offer. In terms of lines, I didn't mention lines. I don't know why I didn't. Triple X has my favorite line on here, which is his friend calls him up. That's one of the most political songs, and it's a good song. His friend calls him up to tell him that his son was killed, and he wants Kendrick to pray for him. And Kendrick's like, look, I'm just going to level with you, dude. Somebody kills my son, I'm going to kill them back. Like, Kendrick's like, I can't even bring God into this. I would murder the fuck out of them. And then he says this line that really hit me. He said, there ain't no black power when your son gets killed by a coward. That's powerful as fuck. So, lyrically, it's on point. The beats are tight. He seems to be satirizing modern hip-hop artists a few times. He's exploring so many themes that it makes your head spin. Like, this is such a complicated album in such a relatively short amount of time. It's really amazing. I think this might be my favorite Kendrick Lamar album so far. I'm just gonna put that out there. This might be my favorite one yet. Okay, I think I've rambled enough. I'm gonna go ahead and give Damn a 9 out of 10. Yeah. If you like this review, do what you want to do. If you heard the album, tell me what you think about it in the comments. And that's gonna be it for me. Peace.